Hello, I want to welcome you today to the Meacham Writers Workshop Conversations. Today we have Gaylord Brewer. Gaylord, how are you doing?
Good, good. Right.
He's come all the way down from Middle Tennessee. And I thought we could begin by having you read a poem.
No, I'd rather not do that. For you, I will, yes. Yeah, pretty drive over the mountain to get here. This is a poem from a series of a character called Ghost that's been obsessing me for about 4 years and following me around. It's called Ghost Writes a Postcard to His Wife. Obverse, a landscape typical of our region, although replace vines and with genial hill of yellow colza, full bloomed, and replace, if you'll permit, wheat heavy-grained for harvest with its spring nativity, knee-high and verdant. Replace cleared field with ersatz lake from flood, the single sparrow just there, with raucous score of black-faced gulls who know no difference. Replace, my love, silent tractor with plow hammered to sword on a forge of eternal fire, the chapel with bombed-out hotel for the touristing dead. Substitute old man and baguette with donkey, bring in the violence of its miction, the crimson peony for the flowerless thorn. Then, fair girl, we may share perhaps one scant moment of this country to which I have returned, one presumption of joy or sorrow at my arrival. Indeed, replace card itself with the errands of your day, your sweet living day, my faded demands for a sorry last attempt at remedy. With no address, no stamp, no kiss, no signature ruined in ink, I will send this to you, dear one, into the lost and urgent sky.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
How did this
It
come
was a
about?
surprise to me. And he, by the way, has only appeared in Europe when I'm on residencies. He's never shown up at the house out in the woods. I'm grateful for that, and I think I know the reasons for it. But and I was in Spain, a little town outside of Barcelona, I guess in '09, and he sort of just appeared. And it was curious. The place I was staying had a lot of Catholic iconography around, so that just folded right into the pseudo-religiosity of the poems. And it's been interesting as he's come to me on three times now.
And when you say comes to you, and is this something that the poem almost comes whole, or is it something that you
No,
work
not
through?
so much. It's just his presence. And I was shocked the first time, and even the second time in Finland, I was quite surprised. I thought I was free of the thing, because I'd already published that first section of poems in a chapbook. I thought, well, that's a self-contained event. It's over with. And I walked down to the lake the first night there, looking out over the sunset, and then the bastard's standing over there, ready to go another round. So that's what we did all summer.
So do you see this as a kind of a dialogue?
Well, this is one of the more recent poems, and it's a little bit different in the sense that as we went along, I've become a little more than just his reluctant Boswell here. He wants to speak in the poem, so most of them are written in the gimmicky second person, which, but that's limiting in some ways. So I've had to try to accommodate a little more elasticity because he's demanding to speak a lot more now than he did early on in the series. So whatever that means in terms of our journey together.
Well, your journey, you've traveled a lot, and how does that affect your writing in general? Not just with Ghost, but with other things.
Well, on just a practical level, Rick, I mean, it really enables me to steal a month or 6 weeks somewhere very selfishly away from the daily demands and hunker down and write a poem every day, which is my deal with myself when I'm somewhere. And then, of course, afternoon, you can get on with your other hobbies and projects and prepare for the next day. But so that's a good way to generate a lot of poems, and without a lot of pressure about how brilliant they are. You toss them, keep them, whatever. We're going to do something else tomorrow. But also then just getting away from my usual comfort zone. When I'm not traveling, I tend to be rather homebody out at the house, and seeing if I can get away, put myself in some kind of ridiculous situation, and see if I can figure a way out of it. Meanwhile, and I've talked about this a couple places, trying to resist writing touristy poems. Obviously, luckily, all my poems are about me, and I carry my own little obsessions with me, so they're ready to roll wherever we happen to be at the time.
Do you have a favorite place that you like to go, or favorite types of places?
I've been really fortunate in the number of places I've been invited to. There's some terrific ones. There really are. I mean, just as an example, the place in Finland was terrific. It was out in the middle, outside of outer nowhere, rural Finland, and weird things happen. Like you get to they asked me to do the speech for the Midnight Sun Festival to the village.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were joking. They weren't. They were quite serious. I had to type it up and show it to the local board. So I had a lovely translator that evening, and they already told me my payment was going to be vodka, good vodka, Finnish vodka, and a package of meat, reindeer meat. So that was interesting. It actually came as a little stew. It was a lovely event.
Really?
So that's the kind of thing that doesn't happen in Murfreesboro too often.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it may or may not work into a poem, but I don't worry too much about that either.
Yeah.
So.
And you write other things besides poems.
Used to do a lot of everything, and then specialized. And now recently, I've come back and started writing fiction more, published a novella, and it's a very different. It's nice to come back because the early experiments were all horrible, embarrassing failures. But I noticed about not writing any fiction for 20 years when I started again. Luckily, Hemingway was no longer looming over my shoulder as he had been in college, and he'd gone on somewhere else. He'd gone on somewhere worthier, and so that was out of the picture, and I was able to just write humorous things that I couldn't do before. But it's nice, and it's that's very different than writing a poem. I mean, for me, as I was just saying, I write a poem in one setting. I mean, I'll take it as far as I can take it, the equivalent of a third or fourth draft to my mind, whether it's working or not. The next day, something else. But the fiction, of course, is a sustained effort day to day, which has its own intriguing advantages. You stop and you pick it up, and you don't have to recreate the wheel every day.
Yeah, I know some fiction writers that I know work, and they'll just write and write and write, and then keep cutting back. Like Tim O'Brien, he keeps cutting back and back. And so in a year, he might cut 200 pages out of a novel manuscript or something like that. And others seem to work almost paragraph by paragraph. When that paragraph's done, that's it. And then they're as surprised as anyone what's going to happen with the next page.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm even worthy of being in either camp at this point. I'm just fiddling around, but I guess I'd fall somewhere in the middle. I do like to write fairly fast, just so I'm not outthinking myself, so to speak, and try to be spontaneous and then come back and see what I've got. But again, I like to do that as much as possible in the single setting when things are still kind of hot.
And you used to write plays too.
Yeah. My wife writes plays now. The house got too small for that. And she's very good, having a lot of success.
And you're also editing. I mean, you do a lot of stuff. Yeah,
I founded a journal of poems and plays, and we just came off our 20th anniversary issue. My expectation was to long ago have handed it off to some young Turk and just have the big emeritus name on there, but no one ever came forward. In fact, they retreated rather furiously.
Yeah.
So.
It's a hard thing to do. So. Do you find that editing influences your writing at all?
I can't say, honestly, that I sense that in any conscious way. I guess it does keep me a little bit on finger on the pulse of what people are writing during that furious reading period, And I've talked about this. Oddly enough, it strikes me that even subjects will come in certain kinds of trends. Year to year, everyone has a baby, or everyone.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's people reading each other? Or?
I have no idea, and I don't think it's my imagination. I swear, one year.
No, I agree.
I must have had 100 having first baby poems. So being the natural wiseacre that I am, I quickly started writing poems to children I didn't have, of course, but but it's just intriguing. I don't know what people would think if they realized that that's tricky too. I mean, it's an experience that's profoundly personal to you, and you feel compelled to write about it, but to make it fresh and distinct from the other 99 baby poems is interesting.
How do you think your own poems have developed over the years?
I was talking to my graduate workshop a couple of days ago that I really tried to suggest to them, stay in the poem. And I think it takes some time to get the patience and the confidence to do that, and not shut the thing down too fast. You know what I mean? Especially if it starts sounding good, the old thing, well, I don't want to ruin it. I better just be in. I got a couple of good lines there, but I think you probably agree. You've got to stay in the thing until it surprises you or makes a little leap on the hook, or something like that. So I think that took a lot of years to. And I look back now, my early poems generally are pretty short. I don't know if that's so unusual or not.
Probably image-oriented.
Yeah, very much, yeah.
Because that was
Yeah.
It wasn't babies, it was images back then.
I had my self-imposed 50-word William Carlos Williams limit per poem. You write a lot of poems that way.
Yeah.
So, but now that I'm old and rigid, and the poems are getting longer and longer and longer. It's that verbal dysentery that again.
Yeah. Well, as they get longer and longer, do you see them sort of tending to approach fiction?
I think the longer poem will, for me at least, would generally be a narrative poem. I mean, just because if I'm not telling some kind of story, or Ghost isn't telling me some kind of story, I don't think I think there'd be a lot of dangerous areas to veer into, like ideas or deep thoughts or things like that.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I want to thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All right.
Okay.
Great.